Kyiv, Ukraine. Today is February 16th. Today is supposed to be the day that Russia was supposed to invade, at least according to the US news. I'm in capital of Ukraine right now, and this is one of the government buildings right here in the city center. This is where the soldiers were when I took the photo the other day. And yeah, let's get started. So welcome guys. The chimes start exactly at 5 o'clock. Hello everyone, where are you guys from? And let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I'm assuming everything's okay. But today I wanted to explain a lot. I wanted to show you actually what's happening on the ground here in Ukraine. Let me actually just flip the camera a bit so you can see who's around, what's going on. And also I wanted to explain why I decided to stay, even though the US embassy had basically evacuated, and the US government and many other embassies have told their citizens to go home. We have people from Scotland, Sri Lanka, Texas, UK, Orlando, Romania, Sri Lanka, cloudy Arizona, Turkey, Hungary, Canada. So thank you guys all so much for joining Detroit. It's probably more dangerous than Kyiv, to be honest. Russia, it's nice to see people actually from Russia watching as well. And Seattle. So a lot has happened in the last week, to be honest. My last video was filmed 3 weeks ago when I was in the US, and everyone told me not to go back to Ukraine. People said I'm crazy if I decide to go back to Kyiv, especially with the panic happening. And then things just got worse. The news, I think it died down for a week or two, and then my mom started calling again saying, Johnny, you need to leave. Please, I'll pay for your flight. Like, just go somewhere. And I said, like, Mom, like, it's not about the money. I can buy a flight. I just, I didn't want to leave. And I had to ask myself, am I just being stubborn, or is there really not that big of a danger? So that was a question that I really had to dig deep in, right? And the answer wasn't just by watching the news. Like, if you look around, everything looks relatively normal. I mean, it is the winter in Ukraine, so this is kind of jury, but I mean, literally there's a woman with a pram behind me, right? Like, people are walking their kids, things are relatively normal. So I asked myself, do I want to listen to my mom's friends? Do I want to listen to the people messaging me on Instagram, leaving comments on YouTube? Or should I talk to people who are actually living in Ukraine and maybe have some kind of better knowledge or more insightful knowledge? So I spoke to my friends who work at the embassy. I spoke to some guys in the military, and I spoke to some very smart, people here, both Ukrainians and foreigners, or expats, that have both decided to leave and decided to stay. And one question that nobody asked for some reason is why Russia would want to invade Ukraine in the first place. Why Russia would actually even want to have war, and what are the consequences for Russia? And that's something a lot of people just don't think about or don't understand. If you ask the question, can they? Yeah, of course they can. I mean, technically, any country can invade another country. Like, North Korea could start a war right now. China could invade Taiwan. There's so many countries that can do it. Just because they have the troops close to the border isn't that different. I mean, nowadays countries have fighter jets, they have missiles, we have, like long range bombs. Like, they don't need to physically march 100,000 troops just to start a war. They can do it from thousands of miles away. So the question, was always like, can Russia do it? Yes. Are they in a better position right now to potentially invade and start a war than they normally would? Yeah, a little bit, right? But the question would be, why would they do it, and what would the repercussions be? So first, the benefit to Russia would be very, very small. I mean, assuming that they can hold Ukraine, which they can't, because it's such a big country and it's very non-pro-Russian nowadays compared to even 8 years ago, they wouldn't be able to hold it. So what can they do? I mean, they could try to take a little bit more of Ukraine, but they wouldn't be able to hold it anyways. For sure, the NATO would 100% come in, because then Russia would be so close to their borders. So what else could they do? Are they gonna come bomb Kyiv? And this is why people told me to leave. They said, Johnny, get out because you're in danger. And I'm like, I am in the beloved capital of, the former USSR. This is like, if let's say America and France decided to go to war, if America decided to destroy the Eiffel Tower, like both the French and Americans and basically the whole world would hate whoever did that. Like, there's no point of coming and destroying beautiful Kyiv. Everybody loves Kyiv. Like, everybody loves the architecture here, the history here. It's like the city itself is not the enemy, right? And do I think that tanks are going to drive all the way to the capital? Like, probably not. Like, as I said, in previous videos, the chance of any war happening is less than 5%, but the chance of it coming to Kyiv, I calculate as less than 1%. What they want, right? And let me show you guys around while we're walking. They would love to have a pro-Russian government, pro-Russian president, right? But like, by coming and starting a war, can they do that? Like, no, right? People are gonna hate Russia even more. So the only thing that they can hopefully do is try to somehow weaken the other countries, right? Weaken the US, weaken, or at least the perception of the US and the EU and NATO, or making themselves look stronger, right? So here's what I believe that Russia was trying to do. And this is what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. And I think it's starting to get more clear. Russia has been bluffing. And I had a really, really long in-depth conversation with probably the smartest guy I know that lives out here. And he has spent a lot of time, effort, and money to get good information, good intel. So I trust him, and he's staying. This guy is worth millions of dollars, and he has a lot on the line. So he's not just, just kind of like reading a couple things and guessing, right? He was saying, this is just how Russians do business. Like, how Americans will flex with their legal teams? Russians will flex with their power. So Russia has been pissed off that they've been losing power over the last decade or so, especially the last, however many years. They are no longer they don't even have a seat at the table anymore. The G7 summit, where they talk about things like this, they're not invited to anymore. And I don't know if you guys even remember, the G7 used to be the G8 until they kicked Russia out. And I'm not saying that Russia is the good guy or they did anything good, but that's completely like another topic, right? But just put yourselves in their point of view. Is why are they worried about the EU and Ukraine getting closer? It's because Russia is losing more and more power, and as NATO and the EU encroaches, they feel more and more threatened. So it's like, here's the best way to describe it, all right? Imagine if the tables were turned and Russia decided, we're gonna have this organization, right? This treaty alliance or something, all right? This defense alliance with some other countries. And we're gonna decide, let's have Mexico join, or let's have somewhere close to the US join. How's the US gonna feel about that? And I can tell you right now, the US would not let it happen, because this is exactly what happened in Cuba. If you guys remember the Cuban Missile Crisis, it was because basically Russia, or the former USSR, wanted to have Cuba be part of their kind of alliance and have missiles there. And the US was like, no, you can't put missiles right next to our country. There's no freaking way we're gonna allow that ever. This is how Russia feels about NATO expanding east towards Russia. You know, 5, 6, 7 years ago now, when Estonia and Latvia joined, Russia wasn't in a position to say no. They didn't have any power. And now they are kind of like, well, we got to do something because, you know, Ukraine really is getting more and more pro-EU, especially, you know, the last 8 years. And Russia's biggest fear is Ukraine is going to completely switch to kind of EU, NATO alliance. And it's going to be terrible for Russia. So Putin and the kind of, you know, Russian government, they decided, well, what can we do? Like, we have to show that we're serious. And that's why I believe, and this is why a lot of very smart people believe, that this entire, you know, military buildup was a flex showing, hey, we are serious, and this is what you can expect if you guys allow Ukraine to join NATO, or if you even think about it or talk about it. So, yeah, Russia would love Ukraine to have a pro-Russian government. I don't think that's going to happen. Lots has changed in the last 8 years, where most Ukrainians, especially the younger ones, don't want, you know, to be close to Russia. They would rather be closer to the EU. So even if somehow, you know, Putin was crazy enough to come in and overthrow, you know, the capital, it wouldn't last very long, because there's 5 million people living just in Kyiv, and they're not going to put up with it. They're not going to be like, okay, yeah, I guess we're Russia now. It's not going to happen. So let me read a couple comments so I can answer some of your questions. Let me show you where we are. Today was declared Ukraine Unity Day, to unify kind of the East, the West, the South, and kind of remind all Ukrainians that everyone's in this together, regardless of what, you know, what Russia has to say with it. So, okay, so the next big question is, why did the US decide to make such a big deal? You know, I asked this question in last videos, is why does the US even care? Like, the US never really cared about Ukraine. And I think it's because the US always needs a war. Like, there's that movie Wag the Dog that I mentioned in my last video. Basically, the US always wants some evil empire. And I'm not saying Russia isn't evil, right? Maybe they are, but, you know, we chose them to be like, okay, for 2022, 2021, this is going to be the evil, you know, focus, right? Because we can't say the Middle East anymore because we're out of Afghanistan. So we chose Russia. We were like, okay, these guys are the evil ones. Now, this is how our military complex is going to make money. This is how we're going to get the attention away from the US economy and the insane inflation that's happening, all the money that was printed. And now we're going to have an excuse why, you know, the government is doing the things they're doing. And maybe that'll bring up approval ratings for Biden. He'll get reelected, you know, because I think his goal was, let's make Russia seem like they're just about to attack, even though the chance of them actually doing it was very low. And Russia had even said they don't want to attack, they don't want war. I think the US wanted to say, like, look, they were almost going to do it. They were about to do it, but because of how great, you know, America was, we stopped them. We made them change their minds. You know, Putin ran back and decided not to. Did it work? I don't think so. I think this was the first time ever where the US kind of propaganda machine, as they say, was highlighted, right? And, I don't know how deep you want to get into that, because it could just be mainstream news just kind of regurgitating whatever is popular. But it also could just be, who knows how deep that goes, right? But at the end of the day, I believe that that's what the US wanted. Like, see, there's actually some newscasters going. So here, I'm gonna show you guys around while we're here. These are where all the other countries are from here. And this is Maidan. This is where the revolution happened, the Maidan revolution. A lot of you guys were on fire after if you haven't, go on Netflix after this and watch it. It's a very, very good movie that you guys should watch. So a few days ago, my mom called me and says, like, Johnny, like, please just go on vacation somewhere. Just please get out of Ukraine just in case. And I told her, I was like, look, Mom, like, nothing's changed. Like, I don't think anything's gonna happen. And she basically just begged me. She's like, I can't sleep. Just like think about going somewhere. And I said, okay, I'll look at some flights. I'll think about going somewhere. So the reason why I ended up not is, first, I knew like the chance of something happening were so low that just the chance of getting into a car accident, while on vacation is actually higher than me dying here in Ukraine, even during this conflict. And I knew that everybody was panic flying outside of Ukraine or out of Ukraine because of, the messages we got from the government telling us to leave in the next 48 hours. And I was like, well, I can either panic fly out, and there's gonna be a ton of madness at the airport. The flight's probably gonna be overbooked, and I'll be taking a seat from someone who is genuinely scared, because the planes were full. A lot of flights were threatened to be canceled. Actually, there's one guy screaming in the background. I think he's screaming about Ukraine, but I can't really understand everything he's saying. But I didn't want to take someone's flight, and he's saying, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes, which was also the chant that they were saying back in during the Maidan Revolution. And a nice little lady is talking to her now. Man, we have almost 2,000 people on here. Oh, Eric LaFell's here. What's up, buddy? Man. So one of the reasons why there's so many flags up today is because of the Ukraine Unity Day. I don't know if this is the first time they ever had it. I think it is. But I'm assuming maybe they're going to have this as an annual holiday after this. Assuming everything goes well today, which I think it is. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, right? I couldn't sleep like super well last night. I woke up a few times. I even changed my bed yesterday. I decided to go sleep in my guest room because it was a little bit darker. And it was kind of just a weird day because like nobody knew what was gonna happen, right? Like literally every time I opened anything, email, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I checked my messages, my mom calls, somebody was like, wow, so somebody sent me, man, sorry guys, I missed your questions. Thank you guys for whoever was sending the super chats. I don't know how I can go look at them again, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the support, guys. you know, I'll be honest, like, it was nerve-wracking. I was like, all right, well, the prudent thing to do, just in case, just in the tiny chance something happens, I should probably just go somewhere on vacation, as my mom suggested. She asked me to do. And it was just, I don't want to get too personal, but it's just like I've been traveling for the last 10 years. In the last 2 years of COVID, I've just been like, bouncing around from crappy Airbnb, sleeping on like floors, sleeping on friends' houses. And I finally have my place, and I finally have, my furniture here, I have my TV set up. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm like, this is not the time for me to leave. Like, I just want to stay in place. I don't want to travel for a bit. There's nowhere to go. And if I flew, I knew, and I saw one flight that I was really considering taking. I was like, you know what, I could pop over to Greece or Turkey or Barcelona or something. And the thing is, I was like, I don't want that stress of thinking maybe that flight might get canceled. Because for 2 days, they were saying the flights might get canceled because of like insurance carriers being afraid, right? Man, why can't I see these super chats that you guys are sending me? Oh, here we go. Alex Sky, thank you very much, sir. Pepperoni Pete. Appreciate you guys. So, I knew that if I went somewhere, I would be risking, this big stress of getting to the airport, and things maybe are canceled. Everyone's gonna be panicked, and then maybe the airport flights won't come to Ukraine because, like, who wants to? There's no tourists coming to Ukraine right now. And for any tourist who's asking me, like, should you come to Ukraine right now? The answer is no. Like, I mean, the chance is still small something's going to happen, but why risk it, right? Like, just wait until the summer, or go to Prague, or go to, like, go somewhere else. And actually, one funny thing is, I thought about going to Italy, and I was like, oh, there's cheap flights to Italy. I love Italy. I like going for food anyways, so why not go? And then I realized Italy is in the red zone level 4 threat as well. Molten Network Resources, have a coffee or beer on me. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So the actual threat level was exactly the same, and nobody was talking about Italy being in the red level 4, do not travel advisory list. People were just talking about Ukraine. Shekel Starsun, I'll be in Ukraine this summer. Odessa, Kyiv, and Lviv. It'd be awesome to meet me. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Enjoy your trip out here. So I was asking myself, does it make any sense for me to go to Turkey, who's having their own crisis right now, or to Italy, who's also in the same level right now? Not really. So U.S. and other countries' intelligence aside, what is the Ukrainian government actually advising on the ground there? So that's actually a really good question. Thank you for that. So here's a thing that was really strange, okay? About a week ago, all my foreign friends, they started panicking, right? And, like, not even just friends, just like people, acquaintances, like people out there I know.
What are you talking about?
We were talking about what is happening with Russia.
Russia?
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what's happened about Ukraine.
Yes.
Everybody learning in school history, Ukraine in Belarus. In Russia was one Rus, named Kievska Rus. So why Ukraine make it independent? For what? We same genetic code, genetic DNK, DNA.
Like DNA.
We have Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus.
Yeah.
Have same DNA.
Yeah.
History learning in school. Go to museum, history museum. You can find map. Where is part? Russia, Novgorod, Suzdal, Pskov, Mogilев, Belarus, Kyiv, Bela Cerkva, Yuriev was together. So what's happened? What's happened? What's happened? Use it. I think it use it mine one. Ukraine now. Ukraine now. Oh. America dictates, Ukraine, what it is, not patriots America maybe, because, you know, I
Yeah.
was lived in America. America interested in politics, make it destroy average country, you
Yeah.
know, average country. Then robber, patrol, gold, like Africa,
Yeah.
Asia, you know.
I was saying the
You
same.
know.
I said the same.
America big power because robber every try make it destroy like Yugoslavia,
Yeah.
you know, many country. He try dictators, you know.
Yeah.
People, some Ukrainians in politics, not patriots Ukraine, to go to America, only talking Ukraine, you know.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Sail Ukraine to America.
I appreciate it.
Where are you from?
America.
No, it's America. Not politics. That's true. You know.
I also think so. I was saying to these guys,
Which state you are in?
California,
Oh, I was living in Chicago 7.5 years.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good place. Yeah.
No, listen. I
Yeah.
tell true. I was in Chicago. I speaking with some officer. You know.
Yeah.
Why always America go fighting? How many people kill in Vietnam?
Yeah.
How many people go to Iraq? For what? For what? I speaking.
yeah.
I speaking.
I agree. I agree.
I speaking with people. With people from Iraq.
Yeah.
Life was much better when was Hussein. People answer me this question. Why? If we're talking about, if we're talking in United States, we're talking about democracy. This means don't put nose for another country. If you're thinking, if somebody else, another country, go fight into an American, step in American land, what you thinking?
I agree.
People, Americans, media people, I love these people, good people. So why in politics, always aggressor?
I agree. 100%.
No, Vietnam, how many people kill Vietnam? Iran.
Too many. Too many.
And then robber oil. Afghanistan, how many people
Yeah.
kill? For what?
For
Why
government.
go?
For government.
Why? Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. Why people don't stay, live in America, you don't put nose outside, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Good
One
luck.
days, what listen, one days, what you think, if one days, country, another country, stay, make it meetings, you know? And then, okay, we go everybody to America, everybody. Without America country, everybody, Europe, you know, everybody, Africa, another Asia, you go to America. What is, America thinking of only, I don't know what thinking America, you know?
I agree. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Дякую.
Listen,
Yeah.
I have one question.
Yes.
No,
No, it's live. I cannot. Sorry.
No. I have passport, American, you
Yeah.
know, no, I expired. You know, I fly to Ukraine because when I see my father.
Yeah.
My father was told have him. I many times pick him up.
Yeah.
I feel broken inside some things, you know.
Okay.
I go many clinic, nobody don't do nothing. I was in Alexandrovska clinic. Oh, do like this,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
take me out, you know.
Yeah.
Oh. If I fly to America, I have a problem. Before I was working factory, I have insurance, and now I don't have insurance because I fly to see my father.
yeah.
Nobody take care of me over there, no?
I'm sorry. I think no. Извините. But good luck.
Original, you born in America.
Yeah.
Your nationality.
Mongolian Chinese. Yeah.
Chinese.
Yeah. Okay, I need to go. I'm sorry.
No,
But thank you so much.
I speaking with officer over there in America
Yeah.
too, you know. I tell you fighting for business interest in White House. When I was in Chicago, maybe you seen TV, you know, people make it meeting here outside, you know.
I agree.
No one, my son or nephew fighting for business interest in White House in Chicago. I see people.
I agree.
Take this sign. I see this moment.
I agree.
I'm walking, you know.
Okay, I'm sorry. I really have to go. But thank you so much. Дякую.
Where is your shop? This in America?
YouTube on America. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. This guy, really interesting guy. I wish I could talk to him more, but this is live. Normally, I would sit and talk to him. So Yeah. Uh-huh.
I speak for American people. We put nose to Ukraine, speaking about Russian, And we was before, long time ago together, one Rus. America fighting civil war between. Then stay together. Stay together. Was 13 state, then later 50 state. So why? We have same history. Was together, was Kyiv Rus. What are you talking about? Bad about Russia, like we was together before. Why we don't separate? Why are United States don't separate? I stay together.
I agree.
Why?
I agree.
I put nose for somebody else.
I agree.
No, this is proud.
I agree. Это правда. Это
Stay
правда.
together,
Yeah, it's true.
We same DNA,
Yeah.
Ukraine, Russian, Belarus,
It's true. Это правда. So there's some military here, but I'm not sure what's happening here.
I'm angry for American people like you, for
Yeah.
average people.
I understand.
just
The
talking
government.
about
Government. Same. I understand.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Дякую. So, really interesting guy. Has some really good points. He's saying like, and I got some crap for this, but this is what I've heard and met from people, is most people believe that, people from former USSR are like cousins and brothers, and genetically they're very similar, culturally they're very similar. Unfortunately, that's starting to change a little bit with the new generation that didn't grow up there. Maybe they've never been to Russia or Belarus. Maybe they are even fighting with their family members now because of, political differences. So it's really sad that that's happening, But, he has a point. For a long time, everybody was the same. Everybody was family, Rita just said, is he familiar with how much Russia goes to war or just takes over sovereign countries? I'm sure, that's a whole other subject, all right? Russia is evil in their own ways, and the USSR, had all of its downsides as well. So let's not get into that today, but we're talking about more like the people itself. It's okay to hate governments, hate policy. This is what I said when I went on RT America. It's like most people don't hate people from the country, right? And if they do, it's sad because most people, like, for example, I never hated, Afghanistan, Afghani people, because I never even met one, right? Like until I came to Ukraine, ironically. Maybe I hated what their government was doing, or I hated their policies. That's okay to do, right? But I even hate some of our own policies in the government, both in, the U.S. or Ukraine or Thailand, wherever I lived. A super chat that came in earlier that I wasn't able to answer until now is, should NATO just be disbanded? That's a hard question. I don't think they should be disbanded, but they definitely shouldn't be encroaching on, eastward or growing, because you can see how that's going to piss off other countries. All right. I'm not too worried about what's happening here with the police. You see this relatively often, but there are some military trucks and things like that rolling by. I think they're just prepared just in case something happens, but I'm not too concerned, to be honest. They're probably gonna actually pick up those police guys right now. That's what I'm assuming. But yeah, I'm not agreeing with what Russia is doing. I don't agree with their policies, but I understand. Even if someone's your enemy, you need to understand their motives. A good question to ask was, is Putin rational or irrational? And the question is, the answer is, he's a very cold, calculated guy. He was literally a KGB spy before, right? So I think these guys are boarding the truck and leaving. Hello. How are you? Do you know what's happening here?
Don't know.
Huh?
Don't know.
Don't know. Okay. Are you from Ukraine?
Yes.
Well, can I ask you? Were
Yes,
you
yes.
were you worried about today?
Actually, not really, because I do not think that Russia will invade Ukraine soon. It's just geopolitical games.
You think it's political games as
Yeah,
well?
yeah.
I also think so. Yeah.
By the way, I'm your subscriber.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Nice to meet you.
Have a nice day.
You too. Take care. All right. Nice to see a Ukrainian subscriber. So actually, I'm gonna walk back towards my house now because I'm meeting another Ukrainian friend and his girlfriend. She's from Holland. She's Dutch and he's Ukrainian. But they live here, and I want to get their opinion on it as well. But I can tell you that last week, oh wow, from Pradesh Kama, Russia will never want Ukraine to join NATO. NATO's already expanded a lot towards East Russia, and nobody's happy. That's why Russia is flexing its muscles. Yep, I agree. That's exactly what I was saying. What my fear, though, as I said in other videos, is like Russia could have started as just flexing, but then if there was a false flag attack or there's a provocation or any of the thousand things that could have happened, war could have started. And once it starts and it snowballs, that's really hard to stop. So I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, Putin he personally has a very good life. He's a very rich guy, regardless of where that money came from. You can, have that as a separate topic, but he has a good life. The rich oligarchs in Russia, the rich people in Russia have a very good life. They don't want to mess that up by having the US or NATO bomb the crap out of them, out of Moscow, because of retaliation. So Russia is very wary of doing too much. They want to do just enough where the West takes them seriously, but they never wanted to do too much. They never wanted to actually start the war because the consequences for them would have been so dire. And that was the main reason why I decided to stay. Because I was like, he has so much to lose. Like, why would he do that? And he's not just like some irrational crazy man, If it was Trump, and we're like, you know what, maybe he would just have his ego get in the way and be like, all right, well, you know what, I want to leave this legacy. I want to be the biggest. So let me just start this war. But Putin's not like that. Russians aren't like that, right? They're very calculated. So we have another super chat. Politics is boring. I'm not going to read that, but I will show you guys around a little bit more. Actually, I was a bit worried to film at night because it's dark, but the city center has beautiful lighting, so it's actually okay. And I wanted to do this so people on the West Coast of the US and Canada could join, because last time they couldn't. So what do I think is going to happen in the next week or two? I mean, yesterday there was rumors that Russia was going to start putting troops away. At least as of an hour ago, that hasn't actually started happening, or at least not completely away. So who knows what's going to happen? I'm hoping, and everyone here is hoping, as I said. I will say this, that last week I was in the bonding with some friends, like 10 of us, or 8 of us, and half of them were Ukrainian, half of them were Russian. And it was great that none of the oh, thank you. Did you guys even hear? My mic was on the floor this whole time. How were you guys able to hear me? 2,000 of you guys were on and didn't say anything. Maybe it just fell. So what am I hearing from the actual Ukrainian government? So here's the I don't want to say okay, so the government was always downplaying it. And I think it was a good thing, because they don't want people to panic. The fear was that even if something was actually happening, they might try to downplay it anyways. That was always kind of the fear, right? So this is why you need to listen to both sides. I don't just panic watch the news, which is just headline after headline. A lot of things like regurgitated. Because if you panic watch the news, you're always gonna you're not gonna know what's going on. So the government itself said, they could there's no immediate fears. The West is overblowing it. Don't panic. But at the same time, what actually freaked me out a little bit was my friend who works for a Ukrainian company. She got an email saying, please leave Kyiv and go to Western Ukraine or out of the country. And I was like, what? This is kind of... scary now, right? Because why would a Ukrainian company actually tell their employees to leave the country or leave? Does the audio seem low right now? Let me try. Tell me if the mic is better now, guys. I unplugged it, put it back in. Can you hear me now? So they told her and all the employees, like hundreds of employees, leave Kyiv and go somewhere, and they'll even pay for it. And Ukrainian companies don't like paying for stuff. So the fact that they just had decided, hey, it's better if my employees take a day off of work and actually go out of the country, that was a bit fearful. That was a little bit disconcerting, to be honest. My original plan from the videos about almost 2 months ago now, this has been going on for a long time, was I wasn't going to even think about leaving until my friends at the embassy were evacuated. And even then I had said, I think they're going to be prematurely evacuated because of what happened in Kabul, where that was so late that this time Ukraine would want to have it be earlier. So when the first wave of kind of family, or voluntary evacuations left, I didn't even think about it. But then when the second wave came, that's when I started thinking, you know what, maybe I should look at this more. Fasant said, I also feel Ukraine should back off, stop depending too much on NATO. By the way, I'm from India. My ex was from Kyiv. Beautiful city. Thank you. Yeah, so I think that, I've said this in other videos, where Ukraine, I think they should just be neutral. They should be like Switzerland or I guess Finland, one of these countries. I know it's harder because, they're right next to, these two sides, but I think that's what would be best. It would make both sides happy. I think what actually has happened through this whole kind of craziness, let's say it actually ends today and Russia actually pulls off, is Russia has made such a big deal and had shown that they are willing to go to war or willing to move troops around. So Western countries and NATO countries would start thinking, you know what, even if Ukraine decides they want to join NATO, I don't think it's worth it for us to accept them because it's too much trouble. So I think actually Russia got what they wanted already. So as long as the US and other kind of NATO countries start saying, okay, we're not gonna consider Ukraine's NATO membership anytime soon, then I think Russia will be happy and they will back off. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm a bit far from my Ukrainian friends, so I don't know if I'm gonna actually make it there on time because this has been going for 45 minutes already. But I'm just trying to walk towards there. You guys watching bad. But that Ukrainian guy earlier was saying it's the governments. It's has nothing to do with the people. The people genetically are very similar. Culturally, at least, were very similar. And it really sucks. It really, really sucks seeing the younger generation, being so like kind of torn away from, the what used to be a family, right? Because there's plenty of young Ukrainians now who, especially like, the ones, that are, growing up now, they're going to know nothing about those times. And they're only going to remember they're only going to hear and see the bad parts. And there was a lot of bad parts of it. But it kind of like, it's like literally throwing like the baby out with the bathwater, right? Philip Lewis, wow, thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate you sharing the story. Ukrainian Russian people are very nice people. It's policies that are harming so many. Stay safe. Philip, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. I agree. It's 100% policies. %. It's governments and what their proxy wars are. The few people who are just trying to make money, trying to have power, trying to have control, and it's the people that suffer. Like the people on the street. That guy was a really nice guy. He didn't ask for anything. I think the only thing he asked for is if he goes to the U.S., if he can get free medical care. I was like, no, I'm sorry. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, the U.S. is one of the worst medical care systems in the world. If anything, here actually would, I mean, it's free, but the free stuff isn't very good either. So, yeah. But, as you can see, life here in the capital. I'm actually having a bunch of friends come over the next hour. End of the world, canned food and champagne. That's kind of the two things we were going to bring over, because we didn't know what was going to happen, to be honest. Like when I told everyone to come over yesterday or 2 days ago, nobody knew what was going to happen. Either we would shelter in place together, or we would celebrate that Russia didn't invade, that they didn't attack. So I'm happy, right? But at the same time, it's not completely over yet. Like nobody knows what's going to happen in the next week. Here is that there would be infrastructure attacks and hacking. I think that's actually happening. I mean, literally, it's been happening for the last 8 years between Russia and Ukraine. So I was afraid they would knock down the internet or electricity, water, gas, heating, things like that, right? That is very realistic. I think that's how wars are going to be fought in the next decade. I don't think tanks and people, going up against each other is modern warfare. I mean, people play too much Call of Duty, right? It's not really, it's not even necessary. Why would you do that when you can just have a team of computer programmers do way more damage, or send missiles from somewhere, right? Like, it just makes sense, right? Okay, I'm a block away. Hopefully I can get these guys on. Man, can't believe you guys are stuck with me for an hour. This has been amazing. So now you actually see one of the bomb shelters. So the entire underground tunnel system of Ukraine is technically bomb-proof. I think this one's just like a pretty small mall, so it's not as much. But there's some that go really deep, especially where all the metros are. But I actually need to go down this just to cross the street. So you can see where we're at. I know there's people that were preparing, but honestly, It's not like the US where people start panic buying. Like, I think I had like an extra couple things of water. But in terms of actually like food and things like that, scared. I know a lot of people actually went parents' villages, you know, to like Western Ukraine, just in case. A surprisingly big amount of people, I would say half the people I know did leave. You know, and I don't blame them, right? Because it was a rational thing to do. I mean, I don't think the chance of anything happening was high enough for me to personally leave, especially because I have a reason to be here. But I didn't blame anyone for leaving because it was like if you could, right, if you could work from anywhere, you could visit, you know, use that as an excuse to be their family. Why wouldn't you, right? You know, I had just got back from the US. I don't want to go there. I knew if I went to Asia, I'd want to stay for 2 or 3 months. So Sri Lanka and Thailand were out of the question. But you know, and I was like, I don't know where to go. Like, everywhere in Europe, it's cold as well. So what's the point of going there? Where this whole week's actually been very sunny and nice. So I just wanted to stay. All right, like, someone just sent me Jack. As an American addicted to the news, I see embedded reporters, embedded citizens, the latter relatable, honest, informative, not something that existed in previous conflicts anywhere. Thanks. Give up beers on me. Jack Rose Green Jr. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I really appreciate that. So, yeah, I think this is the first time. I think this is why the U.S. propaganda machine didn't work this time. Is because there's people like me that have YouTube channels that are just live streaming, because you can see what's happening is not the same as what's being reported on CNN or RT, and they are both all news is biased. You just have to ask yourself: are they biased to the left or the right, towards the U.S. or towards Russia? So I'm here. Hey guys, sorry I'm late. We talked a lot. How are you? You see it? Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Nice place. You recommended.
Yeah. Have you been here before?
No, that's first time after your recommendation.
Oh, thanks. All right, I'm gonna end this stream in a second, but wanted to say hello.
Hi.
Oh man. Yeah, I would love some hot tea. I know. Okay, so what are your thoughts today?
About today in general, well, happened exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
In my opinion, all this like military on the border, all this activity was like pure psychological movement from Russian side to make Europe scared, to make US kind of nervous about potential war in here. Also to make Ukrainian panic inside the country, so they will push Ukrainian government to do whatever Putin wants, just to keep it away from any conflict.
That makes sense.
And all those videos where all this like all those machines, tanks, everything goes to the border, it's quite a lot of this stuff, and I will not even be surprised if Russians shared it, you know, to make this psychological movement, to make people scared, to make people give up, just to keep the like peace in here. So happened exactly what I expected. Nothing happened, but we'll see how the world will react in the future on this.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Cynthia, were you worried at all? Were you scared at all today?
I mean, not specifically tonight, no. I have been scared in the past because I didn't know as much about it as I should have. I mean, when we moved here, I got to learn a little bit more about it, and since then, I'm not that scared anymore. Because if you base all your opinions just on what you hear from the media, yes, they are exaggerating, so that can make people scared and panic, like Vadim said. That's what they want from both sides, I think, actually. And now that I know more about it, I'm definitely not that scared anymore at all. And as you can see, other people aren't either.
Yeah. Diakuyu, appreciate it. So, guys, you guys heard it and you guys saw it firsthand. I'm gonna have some hot tea, and I think tonight, I guess we're not gonna eat the canned food. We're gonna have the champagne.
I mean, you know, we always ready.
Did you actually bring some canned food as well?
We brought some jarred food in a
Yeah.
jar to make it extra
We're always
sweet.
ready to survive.
Oh
the
my
war.
God! Show me what that is. Pickles.
It's the biggest thing.
Pickles and champagne.
We came in style.
Guys, thank you so much. Tonight's gonna be a fun party. So, thank you guys for watching. Thanks to those who donated for some drinks. We'll definitely pop some champagne with that. Swanky Dog, thank you very much, sir. Who else was this? Hero, how do you envision the Kremlin stating that there was a mass graves and genocide when not? Oh my God, that's a hard subject, man. Things there are really messed up. I think that's one thing that we kind of forget to mention is that war is still happening in Donbass, Crimea, and this is a completely separate subject. So, you know, my condolences to everyone out there. Thank you guys. Let me turn this around so you can see how nice this cafe is as we sign off and have some tea. And you can see that life is pretty normal, guys. Like it's not as bad as you guys think. All right, thanks guys. I'm gonna sign off.